What's up, Hockey Think Tankers? Welcome to another Friday Face-Off episode sponsored by Titan Battle Gear. If you heard our recent conversation with the founder of Titan Battle Gear, you know why we're excited about what they're building. Titan is changing how players think about their base layer protection. It's Velcro-free, massive, breathable, lightweight, and made with the highest rated cut-resistant fabric on the market. It's no wonder they've recently become an official partner of USA Hockey to help advance player safety. This is definitely the gear we want our athletes wearing. Hockey Think Tank listeners can get 15% off at titanbattlegear.com/GMBM. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. All right. Happy Friday Face-Off, everybody. We are excited to be in your ears or in your car or on your phone or whatever you're listening to this thing on. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys so much. And I got a topic here today that is, I kind of have a question for you, and take it wherever you want to go. But I'm watching the NHL playoffs right now, and you know, having done a fair bit of winning, both as a player and a coach at the college level, and college is similar to what you need to have and what you need to do to win a championship to the NHL, obviously not completely the same. And then I think about like all the conversations I'm having about youth hockey right now. And I want to ask you, Vex, what does it take to win a Stanley Cup or win an NCAA championship? And how can we develop those kinds of intangibles in our kids in youth hockey in the confines of we want to teach them to win, but it can't all be about winning. It's got to be about development. So I want to know from you how you merge those two. Go.
Oh, man. That's so tough. I mean, first of all, didn't play in Stanley Cup playoffs. Was on the roster for the Bruins for a few games, I think, when I was Black Acing. I know I was. I don't know how many games. So don't have experience in that. Didn't win a championship when I was at Western. You got way, way closer with Cornell than we did at Western in my time there, despite the Broncos being champs 2 years ago. But, man, I think that sometimes when people listen to our podcast and we talk about, like, it's not about winning at the youth ages, that they think that we're saying, like, you're not trying to win. And that's not what we're saying ever. I want my guys to want to win and try to win at every single thing they do. Everything. And I literally mean everything. And Toph and I recently talked on a podcast about how we actually look at the most competitive kids when they're young who pout when they lose or throw their stick and they're like really, really upset that they lose. How Toph and I actually look at that.
We just did a short shifts on that last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Friday Face-Off. Yeah.
Yeah. And we love that stuff. Yes. That's your job as a coach to then step in and teach the lesson of how to conduct yourself. But that kid who hates losing, that's a kid that I want on my team. I freaking love it. So I think just the hard part is, are you ready for this? Adult ego. That's where I think it is in the youth game. The coaches that only care about the winning for their record and for them to say, hey, we got this many tenders on our team. I got, there's coaches out there, some in St. Louis that say, well, I got guys tenders. No, you didn't. No coach gets any player tenders. The player gets the player themselves, the tender. And so I just think like adult ego is a thing. And ego can be a great thing, a great motivator. It also, it has a point of diminishing returns. And I think that when we're talking about trying to teach kids the values of winning and how important it is and how to sell out for winning in the game of hockey, not character-wise or anything like that, it's tough because we also need to be focused on development first and foremost, especially in youth hockey, because they're paying for development. They're trying to get to the next level if we're talking about the higher ones. And in the end, if their kid doesn't get better, but they won more games this year, is that what the parent is really paying for? Is that what the player really wants? Like, again, yes, we want them to win, but development is everything so that once they get to a point where it's not youth hockey anymore and the world and life and hockey are not fair, they are prepared for that. And that's what we need to think about and focus on.
And guess what? When you have better players at the end of the year from where they were at the beginning, you're probably going to win more hockey games because of it.
Absolutely.
All right, so let me take this in a little bit of a different direction. And I may have mentioned this on the podcast before, but I do a lot of team building with college teams at every level of college hockey. I've never done it with an NHL team, but a lot of this rings true. Maybe not fully, but will ring true. And this is where I think these things merge very, very well with how we can help develop hockey players that have the skills to translate to being a winner, at the older ages, at the highest levels. So when I do my team building with higher level teams, college teams, junior teams, I ask them 3 questions. And if they can answer yes to all 3 of those questions, they, I believe, will have an opportunity to win a championship. If they answer no to any of those 3 questions, they will not. And they'll have to work really, really hard to turn those no's into yeses. So what are those 3 questions? And let's talk about college hockey just to start, because that's where I do a majority of my team building. Number 1, are you the closest team in the country? How tight are you? I love, listening to player interviews and, on podcasts like Spit and Chicklets or other podcasts and stuff like that, especially after, teams win Stanley Cups. And when they talk about their Stanley Cup winning teams, what's a commonality of every single one of those talks? We were so tight. We were so close as a group. And it's the same in college. And I think that take this to the development lens, how can we help develop this in players? Like, honestly, and it starts at the youngest of ages, like it's how to be a great teammate. If you can help kids to understand what it means to be a great teammate, how to sacrifice for something bigger than you, how to play for something bigger than you, how to, just be a part of something bigger. That's huge, man. Like, that's absolutely huge. You cannot win a championship at the higher levels of hockey without a team that buys in, without a team that loves each other on the ice, off the ice. Like we've talked about, I'm a big believer that the closer your team is off the ice, the more that you're going to sacrifice for each other on it. And so develop these great teammate skills and developing this kind of understanding of how to become tight as a team through accountability and work and resilience and all that, like, that matters. You're developing champions when you develop that great teammate. Number 2, are you the hardest working practice team in the country? Not maybe as much at the NHL level, because they don't practice very much because the schedule is insane, but certainly at the college level. Every championship team I've been a part of as a player or a coach, practices were harder than the games. Our level for compete was so incredibly hard. So how can we instill that in our players at the youth hockey level? And, oh, by the way, the kids that work the hardest are going to get the most opportunity. The kids that work the hardest are going to get better. It's development. It's 100% development. And the kids that work the hardest are going to pass the kids that are more talented at some point on the journey. And so this is something that helps championship teams win at the higher levels and can 100% be developed at the youth levels. And then the last one, it's our favorite life skill to talk about. Are you the most resilient team in the country? And this is true at every level. You think about the NHL playoffs, Game 7 series, momentum swings, things go well, things don't go well. How can you get back, and how resilient are you as a group to get back up on the horse after you've just been punched in the mouth, right? And so what can we do at the younger levels to develop this resilience in the players where they're going to continue to fight and they're going to continue to work even when there's adversity and it gets really, really hard. And we need to challenge kids. We need to make hard environments. We need to hold them accountable to really, really high standards. And if we do that, again, you're developing winners, but you're also developing life skills in kids that will help them to persevere through the tough times that every single high-level hockey player is going to go through. And so again, I see, it's funny, like, just so you guys know, we had a topic, decided we didn't want to do it. So I had to think of one in 10 seconds as we were pressing record. And so I was just thinking about just like, how can we merge those kinds of things? And the team building stuff just came top of mind to me. And so, developing resilience, developing great teammates, developing an insatiable work ethic in our kids will help them to be a winner and a championship player at the end of the day, if and when they get to the higher levels of hockey.
And a winner and a championship type of human being, which is, again, what Toph is saying here. Like, guys, I'm going on year 19 of training athletes. I played 10 years professionally. I played 3 years in the NCAA. I played 3 years in the USHL. I can look back at that and look at all the guys that I played with and all of the guys that I've trained over the last 19 years. And I was right about almost every single one of them who would have a hard time whenever hockey was over, no matter what level they wound up making it to, versus the guys who I was like, no matter how good of a hockey player they were skill-wise, they were going to crush it in life after. And so these are the things that we really need to be focusing on because they help both hockey and life.
Love it, man. Love it, man. All right. Good stuff today. Love this conversation.
All
right, guys. Time's up.
Share the show.
Share the show. Appreciate you.